I know.
But what's so funny is, Soonie, you as sort of a conservative, and I think a lot of conservative philosophy puts emphasis on personal responsibility and self-reliance, and the fact that you now have your stuff together, you understand your finances, you understand where you're going, you have a family, you have a tight unit, and you have something you're working towards, and you did this all by yourself. I mean, when you see that you can come from a background like that of single motherhood and sort of being disenfranchised and really pull yourself up out of it, then you understand the value of a philosophy which says that you can do that. And I think that has a lot to do with, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth here, but that seems to be a reason why conservatism would work for you.
No, it is. I came from a family full of liberals, extreme liberals. You can't say anything bad about Obama in my family. They're like, what? Yeah. You think Obama's at the dinner table with us? But it was hard, though. It was hard. It's not so much hard now because I think people just kind of understand this is where I am, and nobody's gonna change it. I'm responsible for me. I only believe in a good and evil, and that path that I was on, it didn't lead me anywhere positive. It just didn't. I can't blame my skin color and be like, oh, this happened to me because I'm black. No, it happened to me because I did certain things to put myself there. Now, when you wake up from that, because it is somewhat of a brainwashing tactic,
right.
The world is just, you see the world. Like, voting for me is the most important thing you could do as an American, and I don't think you should take your personal feelings into the voting booth. You're supposed to be voting for the entire welfare of the country, not just yourself.
Right.
That's really why conservatism it's been a long time, but now more so I'm coming out. It's like, yes, I'm conservative. This is what it is.
So the forefather of conservatism is considered Edmund Burke, and basically the gist of his philosophy was that not that we shouldn't strive to make society better, but that we need to make sure that however we put, our policies and our governing philosophy together, that we're doing it in a way that's sustainable, right? And that we're taking into account human nature. And one of those things about human nature is if you give the government enough power to be corrupt, they're going to be corrupt, almost invariably, right? And if they don't start out corrupt, then the politician who comes up behind them typically is, right? So that's why we need to have that's why we need to have checks and balances. And yes, we want to address injustices in society, but we also have to have a government with enough checks and balances that's just inefficient enough that when evil people do become the in charge, that they can't just bulldoze over everyone, right? And this is what happens in almost every single socialist situation. People say, okay, well, there's these flaws with the free market system, right? It creates this wealth inequality. It creates these there's holes in it, right? It's not a perfect system. Like no system is perfect. But when you try to put the government in charge of these things, then you have to sacrifice personal responsibility. You have to sacrifice personal liberties in order for the government to accumulate the power to influence these injustices. And typically they don't work. And typically the response to that is more government and more government and more government and more government until eventually you run out of somebody else's money and the whole thing caves in on itself. It's a power vacuum and it just turns into chaos and a bloodbath, which is what most of human history is bloodbath after bloodbath after bloodbath.
It's wars.
For as long as we can look back.